Welcome back to Secret Leaders. I'm Chris.
And I'm Dan.
And today we are talking about business ideas that you wouldn't think existed yet and why somehow they're still alive and functioning. And it's the new year, so maybe you're thinking about the type of business that you might start. So hopefully we can give you some ideas.
Yeah, I think we talked about this recently where, if I was starting a business today, what would I do? And, we get into this kind of conversations, the inescapable reality of being an entrepreneur. Are you either running a business and thinking about what other businesses you'd run instead, or you've just left a business, starting a new one, you're thinking more and more and more. Yeah. It's just the curse, isn't it? You can't stop thinking about it.
The grass is always greener as well. Like no matter what, you're always thinking that the exact position that's opposite to yours is better than the position you're in.
What is one of the most interesting businesses that a guest has run that you think is really interesting?
I mean, we had Tom from Castor on, and I thought, I don't know a huge amount about sport, but I know enough. And he was talking about how their business had flourished in, effectively becoming the manufacturer of team apparel. So, they're doing the Rangers, they worked with Andy Murray, they're doing a lot of big teams. And I just hadn't heard about that type of business and business model. And it seems like he was doing it very differently. I'm not sure it's something I'm interested in. However, if you go and watch that episode, you will learn a hell of a lot about the idea of working a partnership and learning from a partnership.
So very different. But I loved, back in December, we interviewed the founder of Omaze.
Yes.
And other than saying that is probably my top 3 favorite interviews ever.
Yeah, you've been doing it longer than me, so I'd say it's my favorite ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely 10 out of 10.
Quite esoteric as well, as well as a business conversation.
It had everything.
Yeah.
But Omaze, what an awesome business, because as a function of...
Yeah, tell the audience. Yeah.
As a function of trying to, this is why I love it, as a function of trying to do good, which is give a lot of money to charities. He's raised hundreds of millions of dollars for charity.
Yeah.
As a function of that, he's got to meet and do competitions with the Pope, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lionel Messi, and I was hanging out and Bono walks in, just nonstop. And he's couldn't have been a more low ego, these were not big name droppy things.
But
they
also
were
he talked about dying.
Yes.
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, but that's not a business I'd like to.
No, I know. But what an episode.
It was like nothing else.
I mean, we are the most entertaining business show, right? That's our aim. But everyone should watch that episode. It's very strange when you're doing a podcast, you're not always 100% present.
Because you're trying to work out what's good for audience.
You're trying to work out what's good for the audience, but also you can lose focus in a podcast. And so I would say in that episode, I didn't once lose focus. And there was a drill in the background.
Yeah, that's true. I have to say, I also looked at photos from that episode. And you and me honestly look like the biggest fanboys. They're all like this.
What, like a thumbnail?
Every photo of us is on the edge of our seats or laughing or just admiring him.
The team said the same thing. They said unbelievable episode. And so, yeah, I mean, the business is amazing. I agree with that.
The business is amazing. So, if you can find a business where you get to just hang out with celebrities and make loads of money and make people feel good, where they win prizes and give loads to charity.
Yeah, so definitely watch that episode. But now let's talk about some other businesses.
Okay, I'm going to go first. Done a little research, and by me, I mean Jay. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. You can't see Jay, but Jay is in the room with us.
Jay is this Adonis that's just sitting in the room with us, intimidating us.
Muscle man.
Yeah. He has not skipped bicep day, we'll put it that way. Skipped the other days, though. Anyway. All right, so the first category is kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
So we found professional line standers. So there's a company in New York called Same Old Line Dudes. And what they do is basically people pay them to wait in line for anything. So
I like it.
It's actually very smart. So you've got product launches, restaurant reservations, concert tickets, etc. They charge $25 an hour to stand in line for absolutely anything. And their revenue, they were reported at making over $1 million by 2019. So there's enough demand there for people that want to do this. One line stander actually made over $1,000 just for standing in line for the iPhone 14 launch for 48 hours.
Oh, I don't know if you ever wait in line for the iPhone anymore. Is it cool enough?
I don't know, but if you've got money and you can't be bothered and you want it.
Yeah, maybe Wimbledon tickets.
Yeah,
That's definitely what I thought of immediately. I was like, I would pay someone to stand outside Wimbledon and get me them tickets.
That's actually a really good example of that.
Yeah, because people are queuing in tents overnight.
That makes a lot of sense. I would definitely do the same thing.
Yeah. When I heard this, I was like, I mean, I'm not going to say that I love this, but this is a bit of me.
Yeah, you sound like a perfect kind of customer for this.
This is.
You've got disposable income. You're really, really conscious of your time.
Yeah.
And there are certain things, not loads of things, but certain things you really want.
Yeah, I have thought of lots of examples of how I could use this company.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, it's one of those things where I always think, and I try and explain this to people, I always think that by saying that I would pay someone to wait for me, they assume that in the time I would create for myself, I would then be working in that time. But that's not the case, not the aim. I would like to do that while simultaneously sitting on the sofa. And that would feel very good. So yeah, maybe I could become a customer.
I mean, it sounds like you're right up their street. To be honest with you, I'm actually looking for a secondary income. Maybe I could be your line stander.
To be fair as well, that job sounds quite nice.
Couple of thousand. You know what? I have a thing about lines. Obviously, I'm British, so we all have a thing about lines.
So you love them.
Well, it's more like when people get really annoyed about lines, I do take a completely different approach, which is I'm like, I like standing. I was going to stand anyway, like at this point. Okay, I'm standing in between some people. That's kind of annoying to an extent, but all I was going to be doing is standing anyway. So why don't I stand in this line?
I don't like standing, but I do like the idea of doing nothing.
It's like when you get into a club. It's so funny. You get into a club. You're in a line outside a club. You get into the club. Yeah, nightclub. Like a rave.
When did you last go to a nightclub?
A rave, mate. A rave. So you go to a rave. All you do in a rave is stand around. So, what's the big difference between being in the line? Well, the music is the answer, but hey.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good job. I could stare into the abyss for hours.
Oh, that's a separate chat, mate.
Yeah.
All right, what have you got for me?
So I don't want to one-up you.
No.
But the business is virtual queue holding.
Okay.
So it's almost an identical concept. It's for online queues. So I could effectively pay someone to hold my position in an online queue.
What's it called?
It's called virtual queue holding.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've got a friend called Imogen, and she had a company called Houdini, which was essentially the same thing as about virtual queuing. And she exited for quite a few million recently.
No way.
Yeah.
So the company was called AQ.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same concept. So your friend actually had a business that did this?
Yeah, they did this. She did it for 5-6 years. She's exited it for north of 10 million quid.
What's the setup of a business like that?
A lot of it is to do with retail. Retail. No, I don't know the ins and outs, but a lot of it is to do with retail.
Yeah, because it's charges $20 to $100 per successful queue position, and the line from Business Insider was the business of virtual line sitting is booming. So if, like automated systems for holding again, I mean, I'm like, if I was. The Oasis tickets I missed out on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would have been really great if I'd got them. But I missed out on them.
Do you like Oasis?
Oh, I love Oasis.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. But I would have paid a virtual line holder to secure me those tickets. Absolutely. So I can see the need.
Being a virtual line queuer sounds a lot better than a physical line queuer. I mean, I know I gave a big game chat about being in there with my Joe Rogan podcast, but I'd be just watching it on YouTube instead, sitting down and not in a queue. So
my understanding was it wasn't people. I thought it was
tech
systems.
That makes more sense that it's tech.
If that is a job that's going, I think I would trade my job in for that.
Managing international money used to drive me crazy until I found Wise Business, the account for doing business in other currencies. I can hold money in different currencies and only convert when the rates are good. No more rushing to exchange at bad rates or losing money on outrageous fees. And my team handles all the payments themselves. I don't have to micromanage anything. They have their own logins, set their own limits, and I just keep an eye on things from my phone. One simple account lets you pay and get paid in over 40 currencies. There's no hidden fees, no marked up exchange rates, and it connects right to your accounting software. Whether you're paying vendors or suppliers in Europe or you're getting paid from Australia, it's all just easy. And that's what I love about Wise. It just takes this complicated thing and it makes it really simple. Your money's always secure with 24/7 protection, and you can see exactly where everything is in real time. To learn more about how you can use Wise Business to save time, money, and stress, visit wise.com/business. I mean, there's no way people aren't just outsourcing that to the Philippines, not paying someone in London to queue for you. That's absurd digitally.
Yeah, sounds great. Where do I sign up? I'll say I'm in the Philippines.
Okay, I've got a new one for you. So, professional mourners. So, have you ever been to a funeral?
Yes.
Have you ever noticed that there's people there who seem sad.
Yes.
They're probably all from Rent-A-Mourner. So Rent-A-Mourner supplies professional grievers, and it does it at a price point of £45 for 2 hours. It does beg the question, doesn't it? Which is like,
It's just paid actors coming and crying.
it's just very, I don't know. It makes me feel terribly sad that people would not be crying at someone's wedding.
Because you're so
Have
popular.
to hire a mourner.
You would have an absolutely stacked funeral.
Hiring a mourner is ridiculous. How English do you need to be?
Yeah.
You need to be really repressed.
If you want a baller funeral,
Oh, I see. Oh, so your thinking is actually it's not about 1 or 2 mourners. It's like you hire 100 mourners and you make a whole
like, when people
scene.
come to your funeral, they're like, "Holy shit!"
Oh, yeah. I didn't
100
think about it
people.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought
Like,
it was
wait,
like get 2
wait.
mourners because no one's crying and it's really
Who
lonely.
was he? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like, what do I know?
Oh, do you reckon that's what it's like?
And get people from like different countries, like loads of like Russians.
Oh.
And people be like, "Why there's so many Russians here?"
Yeah.
I didn't even
Be
know
like,
that
was
he
it
knew
John
any
Wick?
Russians. So that's where my mind went. But
Yeah, you're probably right. Okay.
I don't know if I am right about that.
£45 for 2 hours. So, all right, $4,500 to basically pack out a funeral, make you look like a baller.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dead, so we're going to spend 4,500. Why not that? Yeah, makes sense actually.
I have a business for you on the same lines.
Yeah.
Dead Social.
Dead social, right? Okay.
So this company will manage your social media accounts post your death.
What?
I actually feel like my brother thought about launching that as a business for a long time.
Really?
It would like you would combine it with like AI, and it would like distill your person into an AI, and that AI of you would keep tweeting effectively for years to come, which is not too dissimilar to what this company does. They for basic services, $20 a month, they will run your social media accounts after your deaths and post messages and so forth from your channels.
What do you think is like the point of that?
I think for an ordinary person, I can't see the point, other
Yeah.
than some people maybe it makes people happy. But I think for like extraordinary people, it'd be quite cool if,
But give me an example.
I don't know, if George Washington was still tweeting.
Oh, I see. But you just get those.
It'd be pretty radical.
You get those like fake accounts that are like God has a Twitter account and all this stuff. So I guess
He's
like
not dead.
no, that's very true. Yeah, God's still
Yeah.
with us. Sorry. But you get let's say Paris Hilton. So Paris Hilton dies.
Also not dead. Okay.
No, so if Paris Hilton dies, everyone
We'll
knows
pick
that she
someone who's
died.
dead.
No, I think we should pick someone who's alive to give the actual example of if
Okay.
Paris Hilton did die and you know that she's dead, the whole world knows she's dead.
Right.
What's the value genuinely of that account carrying on? Like, who is that value for? If that makes sense.
Must be incredibly individual. The digital legacy is sort of word they use. So yeah, I mean, maybe motivational quotes from Paris Hilton about. I don't know what Paris Hilton does,
I
but
don't either. I was going to make her favorite Joe and the Juice drink.
she obviously like owns the Hilton hotels.
Heiress.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got like estate managers. Like, when Michael Jackson dies, his whole family is like, their whole life is making sure they get as much out of Michael Jackson's content and legacy. So you got the family who's like, you've got to keep the socials going. We're still getting brand deals, etc.
And you could set up an AI to do that nowadays.
Yeah, you could. But that's the thing, like the authenticity would be so off. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking about it like in a
Yeah.
old,
You're so rational.
legacy media way.
Yeah.
Like an idiot.
Dumbo.
All right. This is a company that you've definitely heard of, given your omnipresence on social media. It's called Social Blade. Do you know Social Blade?
Is it a posting tool?
Yeah, just like analytics and...
Yeah, I have heard of it. I've never used it. but
Yeah,
I've heard
okay.
of it.
So basically, they originally focused on Instagram analytics,
Yeah.
and they collect
Oh,
and
that's why I've
resell...
heard of it.
Yeah, but they collect and resell public social media statistics. So the point of what's so absurd about this is like all the stuff that they do is publicly available for free. You can get all their information from Instagram for free, but they've done a really good job of just basically creating an API and
Packaging it up.
packaging it up and doing premium subscriptions. So they literally built an entire business on freely available public data with subscriptions ranging from like $4 to $100. And they built a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, I can buy that. I mean, I really can understand that. I think there's so many businesses that do that.
It's all free. Like,
As in make like readily free available information.
I suppose like dashboards and
into
stuff.
an audited dashboard of ease and efficiency. Like I ran an agency, and the agency would buy loads of products like that.
Yeah,
and because
fair.
you would take the view that rather than your team going and like crawling all the accounts.
It's time saving.
It would be like click, and then all the accounts would filter into the dashboard, and you'd have a perfect data set. So I can buy that one.
It's true.
And I reckon there's loads of businesses like that all over the world.
Okay.
Unlike
my
next business,
Yeah.
which is professional bridesmaids.
Professional bridesmaids.
So
this one is for unpopular brides.
You wouldn't have had a hen party yet.
No.
But when you do, if you are lacking bridesmaids, you can sort of rent a bridesmaid.
Oh, that's depressing.
Only if you need them.
What? That's quite depressing. So that is a bit more like my funeral example.
Yeah, founded 2014.
Because you're not suddenly getting 100 bridesmaids. You're basically only doing it if you've got no friends.
Guess how much it costs to rent a bridesmaid on a per wedding basis?
$300. $1,000.
So it's $2,000 to $10,000 per wedding to rent a bridesmaid.
What?
What do you reckon the differentiation is between a $2,000, like a really boring one or a really fun one?
Yeah, the really charismatic one that everyone loves.
I'm thinking like Owen Wilson Wedding Crashers vibe at the top. That's 10K.
Yeah.
And then like maybe the same person who does the funerals also does the bridesmaids one.
Well, why not?
They're sort of, whatever's happening on the day. And they're available.
What the use case is surely literally just super unpopular.
I mean, they
women.
don't make a huge amount of money. They make 300,000 annually, which is still a good amount of money. But interesting stat, one of them has been a bridesmaid at 250 weddings.
Fucking hell.
So there you go. That is a niche business.
I mean, I don't understand it. That's so depressing.
Yeah. I think maybe a takeaway is there is so many ways to make money.
Yeah.
I do actually think this, like, you're a few years older than me, but when we were growing up, there was
so unnecessary. Always necessary for him, but it's so unnecessary.
There was like, I often felt like there actually weren't that many available free jobs. I mean, obviously there was lots of jobs, but now from like 16 onwards, you can be like an Uber driver. There's so many digital services. You can do all of these different things online. You can rent yourself out. And I'm sure you could have back in the day, but I think it just means there's loads of opportunities,
Yeah.
even if they are a bit bizarre.
And why do I need to be older than you to know that?
We're just different jobs, different times.
Yeah. Back in my century.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one for you.
I was actually just looking at the difference between what you get at $2,000 per wedding versus $10,000 per wedding for one bridesmaid. So at the top end, you're getting bridesmaid speeches, you're getting, involvement in the main wedding party, but then 2,000 is probably just attending, just schmoozing around.
Wow.
So you get main characters for the wedding.
Man, like paying $2,000 for someone to just come and show their face.
It feels a lot. What was the funeral cost again?
That was cheap. £45 for 2 hours.
Wow. They need to start.
Do you know the difference?
Weddings.
This is in pounds and that's in dollars. That's all you need to know. We just don't know how to monetize things properly in the UK.
That's it. Security compliance is one of those things that can silently derail your business. Not because it's impossible, but because most of us put it off until it becomes urgent. And by then, it's often too late. I want to tell you about Vanta because it fundamentally changed how our company handles compliance. They've built a system that automates preparing for SOC 2 and ISO 27001 certification, turning what used to be months of tedious work into a straightforward process. What makes Vanta different is that they understand this isn't just about checking boxes. It's about building trust with your customers while protecting your business. That's why over 8,000 companies, from two-person startups to major enterprises, rely on their platform. If you're growing your business and you know security compliance is something you need to address, visit vanta.com/secret leaders. They're offering $1,000 off your first year, and honestly, it's worth every penny just for the peace of mind. It's the solution you wish you'd found years ago. Use Vanta so you don't get slowed down by security paperwork and focus on what matters, growing your business. Visit vanta.com/secret leaders now and get $1,000 off your first year.
Okay, so I've got another one for you. This is the concept of a professional playlist curator. So that probably sounds a little bit like a DJ, so I'll explain it. Back in the day, you would basically have DJs would get, people go up to them and be like, "Hey, if you play my song, well,
the radio.
yeah, exactly. You play my song on the radio, or on this, actually on this playlist and stuff, I'll give you money, and it'll boost you, and you can obviously get more
And
fame,
you pocket
and,
the money.
yeah, all that kind of stuff. That's actually illegal. So it's illegal to do it properly, but actually, on things like SoundCloud and Spotify, there are now these playlists that have like tens of thousands, millions of followers, right? And they love the curation of these different DJs and people that are actually putting together amazing playlists that are played all over the world. So it's actually pretty smart. They essentially connect artists with playlist curators. So that the company's job is it's like a marketplace. Hey, you have a song in electronic dance music. I'll intro you to these curators and we can get distribution for you. You pay $1 to $6 per song review, and top curators make $3 to $5 grand a month. It's kind of like distribution. I suppose we see a lot of this on social media, right? Where you're paying for distribution.
I mean, if they know music really well, they know the playlist really well, it's a very easy arbitrage for them, isn't it?
Exactly. And, if the song's actually good and they would have gone on there anyway, why not get the extra little bit of money?
Yeah, I like it.
It's pretty smart.
And low lift.
Incredibly low lift. It's literally like getting paid to just do the job you were going to do anyway.
The funny thing is, if you were like that's one of those businesses we talk about occasionally, which is like you could probably live in like Bali and do that remotely on your computer.
Definitely.
And make an awesome amount of money and not really work. That really is like a 4-hour work week business.
What's the weirdest business you've ever done? You ever started anything odd?
So I've been doing it a while. So I've had some successes.
You're not going to say Secret Leaders, are you? Bunch of weirdos in here.
Secret Leaders is killing it. But no, I have had some bizarre businesses that have sort of failed, or I suppose like barely even got off the ground. One was I made like portable phone chargers in like 2011. It was called Block, and it was because it was a block and you would take it everywhere with you. But just couldn't get them to sell, and then the first few that sold did like basically blow up because of the batteries and so forth. And I remember being like, I don't know if this is a business I want to be in. It was coming from China and I'd already invested a lot. And so quite quickly sold out to the guy that I was doing that with and was like, I'm parting ways with this. The other weird business I did was, I don't know why I got so fascinated once. I don't even have a dog, nor have I ever had a dog, but I like invested into and got really involved in this business called Bark, which was a sort of a high fashion dog apparel brand. And literally it took up. I was running Verb at the time. Like Verb was a really successful company, and I was spending all my evenings working with a dog brand that was based in the north. I was like, it could be like the future, like, fashion brand. Like we could, and then suddenly I was like, it's just collars and leads for dogs. What are you doing? And again, exited that business, losing money in both cases.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? Weirdest business you've ever launched or been involved in?
So one that springs to mind, I do have a good story for this. It's called Deal 52. I still have some of these at home. So, long story short, because I'm older than you,
Yeah.
back in the day,
How did it work?
in 1902, when I was at university.
Yeah. I can believe it.
So in universities, obviously, there's lots of Wetherspoons everywhere. And you see, students are all in their Wetherspoons or in the pubs. And, one of the things that students love is drinking games. So at the time when phones were, because I used to be mobile, at the time when phones were just starting to get smart with their cameras, it was about 2012. And QR codes first happened. So I was the OG of making a QR code business, because this is in 2012. Basically, went and got loads of, and I'll come on to this, packs of playing cards. So there's 52 playing cards in a pack. There's 2 jokers. That's 54 ad spaces was the way that I saw it.
Right.
And so I went to advertisers who wanted to advertise nationally in pubs to students.
Okay.
And I was like, we will give free packs of playing cards out at all the different Wetherspoons in Leeds, in Nottingham, in Manchester, etc., etc. And you, the advertisers, will pay to advertise a promotion on the back of the card that can be redeemed inside that Wetherspoon. So it's great for like a Bacardi or whoever, right?
Right.
There's going to be a QR code on there. And because mobile is the future and QR is the future, people will be able to scan that and you'll get a portal and you'll be able to change your deal throughout the year. Because one of the biggest problems in physical printing anything is that it's printed, it's done. And we were like, you could be a bit more interested. You could be like, scan the code here, and you could update your code every week. So like, actually thought it was a really interesting idea. Anyway,
Did it take off?
we did get it. We got it all over the country. We got it into all the different universities.
Was not expecting that, Jay.
One round of it, because the business did go under. Because one thing because it's a physical product business, and by the way, this was a long precursor to Heights, because after this experience, I said, I'm never doing a physical business ever again. And I went fully into digital. Obviously, then I failed a digital business and said, fuck that, I'm never doing digital again. I'm doing physical. But there was a story very close to here in London Bridge, in Borough Market. I basically completely shut down Borough Market because 52 cards, and as I say, 2 jokers, 54 cards in a pack. 10,000 of these were ordered, and this comes as many crates and pallets. Pallets is essentially like a very large amount of something on a crate. 3 lorries turned up in Borough Market where my office was.
Of playing cards.
Yeah. And basically we had totally forgotten. We'd done everything, all the advertising, everything was all sorted. We'd completely forgotten to figure out the distribution. And so what happens when they drop off the thing? Who is physically taking these things and dropping them off at all? We just kind of like was so busy, had forgotten this part. And they didn't give a fuck. So they literally dropped off these crates of playing cards on like the road.
Side of the road.
Yep, in Borough Market. And all these people went absolutely nuts. And a really random saving grace was my friend ran an advertising agency, had a big warehouse like round the corner. And because I worked in my dad's warehouse when I was 13, it's like one of my first jobs. So my dad used to work in fashion. It had like a warehouse in Tottenham. I learned how to drive a forklift truck. And so someone in Borough Market gave me their forklift truck because that's how you have to move pallets like that. There's no other way. And I drove those things into this, and we managed to sort out distribution like the next week. But the lorries did not give a fuck. They just literally dropped these things off. So anyway, as you might imagine, any slight semblance of what would have been profit went so out the window trying to unfuck ourselves that weekend. Yeah. We spent thousands solving that problem, and big lesson in thinking things through, but it was unbelievable how glaringly stupid that mistake was.
Yeah. That does sound like quite a lot of fun though.
It was a laugh.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
Stressful laugh.
As I've got older, I think this thing becomes so present in my mind. If I ever was to start another business, it's like start a business with a big product, as in like a big amount of money you make per product. As in, I know that sounds so basic, and I know that I've been doing
what
this,
do you mean? What do you mean?
But as in, like, I would rather sell something where the product in itself is not in the tens, but in the hundreds or in the thousands if I can, because I just feel like businesses, the margin always ends up being squeezed.
Yeah, it does.
And I think in a bigger product, you just have more space.
One of the wisest things someone ever said to me about building a business was he said, double the costs, half the margin, and if it still looks like a good business, then crack on.
Double the cost, half the margin. Yeah, I mean, I would genuinely
very
agree
good
with
business
that,
advice.
Because I always I have this sort of hangover of the fact that I had a very successful agency and sold it, and so many agency people ask me the questions, because agencies are very popular businesses and often great businesses, but if you scale them, they're tough businesses, and you can come down from grace quite quickly on them. And when I meet young agencies, they don't have the growth and scaling costs in their businesses. And so they're achieving abnormal margins, like 30, 40%. They're like, yeah, we're the different ones. And I'm like, yeah, but if you scale a people business, at the end of the day, fundamentally, you will end up fitting similar to the groove that's existed for a long time before. Sure. And then they do scale and they end up roughly at 20%. And everyone ends up roughly at 20%. If you're exceptional, 25%. If you're like average, 15%. And that's just the nature of the game. But I think when you're younger, you feel like you can beat the statistics.
I do think the one thing about doing, like having that experience that I had and stuff, is like one of the fun things about trying to do different kind of things when you're younger is just the shenanigans.
Yeah.
You know, you get a bit older and you get a bit risk averse to those things because they seem like a just high effort, and so you just sort of avoid the shenanigans. For example, your businesses, super practical, high margin, big distribution, etc. Not a lot of room for shenanigans.
No.
But, you know, I guess you can sleep at night, which helps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually don't know. I don't know what you would say about this, but I genuinely don't think I am half as risky as I used to be. I just don't. I think about things very differently. I think about things for much longer. I
more to lose.
have all these rules about like if I have a good idea, I have to sit on it, and if I like it in a month, I can then consider it. And like when I was younger, I would think about something, love it, and start a business within like 3 days.
It's good discipline.
But like if you can love it in a month, then it really does say something about it. But now I just wouldn't risk things like I did. And I suppose like maybe that's more to lose. Maybe that's being a bit longer in the tooth in business. Things just go more wrong than you think they would.
And you still like bark, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they exist. If they do, I hope they're doing incredibly
Sounded
well.
familiar.
Yeah, they were actually like lovely products. So I've forgotten his name now as well.
You'd look great in a little collar.
A little dog collar.
Yeah, a little dog collar and a lead.
Well, that's another video altogether.
Yeah, okay. Right. Next time on Secret Leaders.
Christ. Jay, get us off this topic.
Anyway, thanks for listening in to today's random business ideas. If you've got a random business idea, then let us know in the comment. Maybe we can rate it. Maybe Chris can roast it for you. Who knows?
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to Secret Leaders on YouTube and give us 5 stars on all the audio channels. Thank you very much for listening to Secret Leaders.
I'm Chris.
And I'm